All right, everyone, welcome back to From Within She Rises. Today is going to be a conversation and it's going to be a remembering. In a world where Christmas has been flattened into consumerism, sugar, and surface level nostalgia, my guest today has chosen a braver path, one of reclamation, reverence, and resonance. Laura is a beautiful musician, a priestess voice who has created a Christmas album that does not bypass the sacred, but it is restoring it. An album that reaches beneath the tinsel into the original frequencies woven into this beautiful season, the ancient rituals, the feminine wisdom, the solar codes, the quiet, holy ache of the dark night giving birth to light. This is not a conversation about ruining Christmas. This is a conversation about remembering its true meaning, about returning to the roots of the season, to its body, to its breath, to its Christed and earth-based origins, where miracle and myth get to walk hand in hand. So before we begin, let's drop in. Wherever you are, just allow your shoulders to soften, letting your jaw unclench. Just let your body arrive. Inhaling slowly through the nose. Feeling the breath move through your ribs, your belly, your womb, and your heart. Exhaling gently as though you're exhaling centuries of noise, pressure, and performance. Now imagine yourself standing at the edge of winter, the world quiet, the earth resting, candles flickering against the longest night, and feel the holy stillness of this season, not as an obligation, but as invitation. The invitation to return, to remember, to re-enchant the sacred. And when you feel ready, opening your awareness as we step into this beautiful conversation. So hi, Laura, welcome. And I would love if you can tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the nitty-gritty of your evolution.
Hello. Yeah, I'll tell you about me. I am originally from England. We moved to the US about, 13 years ago, when my youngest he was about 2. I've now got 3 children. We lived in Cincinnati, Ohio for about 7 years, where my 2 youngest were born. I had 2 beautiful home births with them, which were very much manifested after my first birth was a very upsetting hospital birth, but I got my healthy baby, which is wonderful, but obviously knock-on effects, and that is a whole different conversation. But yes, we've been traveling around the US for the last 5 years. Kids are homeschooled. We've been traveling around seeing all the beauty of the United States, because the United States is incredibly beautiful, and we've just had the best time. And yeah, so I have been a full-time mum ever since my first was born. Before that, I was a professional singer. So I don't know if you've heard of the Northeast Club Circuit in the UK, but I was doing the Northeast Club Circuit, working men's clubs, and I've sang at a lot of people's weddings and function bands, and I did production shows and choral music and anything that paid the bills, really. I was a jobbing singer, so and I very much enjoyed it. I would enjoy the rehearsal process, etc. But then when it actually came to opening night, I would get the nerves. I'd really enjoy opening night, but then for the rest of the run, I'd be bored out of my head, because it would just be, for me, it would be going through the motions, singing other people's stuff. There was no soul in it for me. It was all just performance. And that brings me to where I am now, and trying to reclaim that part of my soul and share it with the world, really.
That's beautiful. And this album really does feel more, it feels like it's more than music. It really is a reclamation Yeah. So what season of your becoming do you feel like you were in when that began, when you decided, okay, now I'm ready to create instead of perform?
Oh, season. I guess I was. I suppose I like seasonally as a woman right now. I'm kind of on that cusp, aren't I? Between like I'm very much like your perimenopause lady. I'm like on that cusp of coming out of all this mothering. I've finally finished breastfeeding. Breastfed all my kids and for like each one of them got nearly 4 years. I'm saying that I've been
Lucky
breastfeeding for
babies.
all this time.
The
And
whole
like
time.
yeah, so much coming out of that period and then having this whole crisis of, well, who am I now? Um, and I did some amazing work with my life coach Mindy at FLRS, and she really helped me to reconnect with my deeper knowing, uh, the divine inside myself, like my womb space, and that kind of that intricate knowing that's inside you that is directly connected to the divine. So
Yes.
I think that that is where I was maybe 6 years ago. And we have been so heavily traveling the last 5 years. And I've been so busy that it's always been there in my mind, and I'm working on lyrics, and lyrics are coming and flowing, and I'm writing them down, and I'm having concepts for songs and ideas. But I just didn't feel like I had the time, and also not feeling like I had the expertise to pull it all together as a project. Like, I'm slightly digitally challenged, and I don't know. I can find my way around GarageBand, on a Mac or whatever, but like
Yeah.
trying to construct a piece of music and make it sound polished enough for release leads me to another story. It's a short one, but yeah, earlier on this year, I did a really random Google, and this is often the way I find in my life. Things seemingly random bring in really, really big players, big key things in my life. And this seemingly random Google was like, have you heard of a band called Clanad, by the way? They're an
I
Irish
haven't.
band. They've been going since the 70s. And basically, they did their farewell tour recently. And I was like, I wonder if anybody's doing a Clanad tribute. So I Googled Clanad tribute and thinking maybe a Clanad tribute band would come up. But what came up was a tribute to Clanad somebody had written a blog post about. And this person is a music producer. And I was like, this is no coincidence. This guy lives where like half my ancestors come from in the UK, and
Yeah.
it was just
That's wild.
crazy. It was wild. It was crazy, and I reached out to him, and we got ended up getting on a Zoom call the same day, and chatting and deciding that we had a good vibe and we were on the same page musically, and I realized that he could complete the loop for me, and I was able to move forward because I've been so stuck for so long, so stuck, and he was brought into my life and it enabled me to move forward. Now I have this big concept for an album of stuff that I want to put out into the world, which is me, which is my journey, which is all self-penned. I'm very much a lyricist. I write very poetically, and I've got so many concepts for so many songs, but I was like, I'm not ready to just like hand this over to this man that I don't know very well. And I need to keep working on that. It's not quite ready yet, but see where we are. Let's see how we work together. And
Yeah.
and I've had this concept also for wanting to bring a small collection of music together for the winter solstice, for Christmas time, for Yuletide. And that is where this idea for Embers of the Sun was born. And I was raised in the Catholic Church. And
Same.
so I very much come from that kind of church space, candlelit vigils, midnight mass. And there
Yes.
was so much holy magic in that for me. And but then, I'm not going to obviously go into my whole spiritual path here, but I came out of the Catholic Church. I went into an evangelical Christian phase, and then that turned into a whole crisis of faith in my early 20s. And now I don't know how to describe myself to you. I don't fit into a box. I am a lover of the teachings of Jesus. I love a lot of what the Buddhists teach. I am very much interconnected with nature, but I'm not a pagan. So I'm this kind of like in between person, and I've just found so much Christmas music so triggering because of that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I wanted to release a small collection of music that was soul linked to all the beauty of the season, you know?
Yes.
Um, because as you said in one of your posts that I saw on Instagram, there are so many recurring themes at this time of year across all the different religions, you know?
Yeah.
And this album, this EP, I should say, it's not really an album, it's only 3 tracks, but it should
They're
have
beautiful.
appeal, hopefully, for everybody across the different religions. Um, because it's about the returning of the light, you know,
Yes. Whatever the light is for you, right?
whatever the light is for you, exactly whatever the light is for you. Um, but I mean, for me, I was coming at it, I connect with the solstice because I think of it from an ancestral point of view, in that,
Yeah.
quite literally, our ancestors struggled so much during the winter months, and it was a time when people would run out of food. It was a time when people would get ill and die. They would not be able to keep warm. And quite literally, the solstice, the returning of the light, is that promise of warmth coming back. It's
Yeah.
like, yes, it's the ultimate celebration. And then of course they bunked Christmas right on top of it. So all those beautiful traditions and things that were ancestrally there and came from all the different cultures have all been absorbed into Christmas. And
Yeah.
yeah, so this is an amalgamation. This EP is an amalgamation, and I get a real kick out of harmonizing, and I really indulged myself on that with the EP, and I layered like Silent Night. I made it wordless for the very reason of it. I didn't want it to be triggering to people, but I wanted it to be evocative, and I wanted it to bring
Yeah.
back
It was
those
stunning.
memories for people like you and I who were raised in the church that way. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, Silent Night is just all layered vocals. There's no instrumentation at all in that. Everything is vocals. I think there's about 32 of me at one point in that in that
Wow.
recording. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and then
Which is beautiful.
and in a similar vein, and did you recognize the tune for The Longest Night?
I didn't actually know.
It's one we used to sing in church. It was O Come, O Come Emmanuel, the tune,
Oh,
which is an old
yes.
hymn. And so I
Yeah. Yeah.
completely rewrote the lyrics to that and very much made them about nature imagery, the beauty of the season. And I'm really loving that one. It kind of came together very quickly and came out of left field for me, but it's come out so beautifully. I'm so excited by it.
That's
And
beautiful.
then the Holly King, that's the other one on there. That's the middle track. That's a cover of a song that I found on Spotify when I was Googling for like alternative Christmas music myself. And it's written
Yeah.
by a guy called Alan Sherman, and his group was they don't play anymore, but they're called Madrigales Muse. And I just heard their version of Holly King, and I was just like, oh my goodness, this is so beautiful, but I could do something really me with this. so that
Yeah.
so that's and it's the whole battle. Have you heard of the myth of the Holly King and the Oak King?
I actually haven't. I am so out of touch with, I'm just now getting back into learning about Celtic roots because we won't go down that rabbit hole today, but I had a past life regression and I was in Scotland. So now I'm like, oh, And I feel like every time you learn a little bit about, like, if you resonate with something in a book or whatever, it's like part of your soul's past, right? So then it activates something within you. Where the way I see it, which is going to be very alternative here, but if we as humans come with like 1 to 2% of our DNA activated, that's our like lineage of body blood, right? And the rest of it is your soul. And as you're reading things or you're listening to albums like you just wrote and something resonates with somebody, it's activating some part of their soul and activating this new level of DNA. So we're just, please share this story because I don't know it, but I'm sure I need to.
Oh, you just gave me the tingles. Yeah, it's an old myth based on the idea that there are two brothers, the Holly King and the Oak King, and they battle twice a year. And
Wow.
in the winter time, the Oak King wins and reclaims the light. And then the days progressively get lighter as we move towards the summer solstice. And they fight again. And the Holly King
Wow.
wins, and we descend into darkness. I'm sure there's a lot more to it than that. That's your brief summary of the myth. And the song that Alan Sherman wrote was based around that. Um,
Wow.
and I loved the imagery of it. I thought it was so evocative. And I also loved the chorus as well, you know, the mention of the Bayberry candles, and because that's a very traditional, I believe it's an American tradition actually, from the first settlers that came over, the burning of the Bayberry candles. They be burned like on the solstice night or on New Year's Eve. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, beautiful imagery. And I'm all about the imagery. I love it.
I love that. It's beautiful. And I know you said you left a part of your soul on the table when you wrote this. So obviously there's some shedding that had to do coming into this album. What do you feel like the biggest, maybe even looking at it as like, what is the biggest limiting belief that you had to be like, no, this no longer serves me, to step into creating such a soulful album?
Yeah. Um, I mean, it's a process, isn't it? And I
Yes.
think have have I shed
And you're never
my
done.
limiting beliefs completely? Probably not. But you know, I'm working on it, and I very much think that the biggest blocker for me was my perfectionism, and that's why meeting Ben, the producer, was such a door opener for me, because I don't think that I could have produced something that would have met my own exacting
Expectation.
standards and
Yeah.
expectations. And I, I mean, perhaps I'll be capable of that one day. You know, if I get more digitally, get more
Inclined,
digital
yes.
prowess. But yeah, right now I don't have those capabilities. And yes, limiting beliefs very much. Yeah, I just had to shed this idea that what I needed to be putting out was perfect, and trust that
Yeah.
people will still be blessed. People will still find what they what will bless them, what they need to find in the
The
music, in that
I think
space.
the reality is people listening to music or picking up books are doing it because they're not perfect. So if you start to look at it like if it was perfect, it wouldn't resonate with anyone. So in reality, you're meant to leave this aching soul that's still healing on the table because it resonates with others that are just like one step behind you, that just need
Mm,
that little push to get to where you are. And going back to the perfectionism thing, it's like I remember somebody telling me that perfectionism was the biggest form of procrastination, and I was like, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And it,
absolutely.
yeah, so you have to leave the soul, the imperfections on the table because most of us, unless we're already ascended to our highest enlightened self, have some imperfections that they will resonate with your music. And your music was stunning, and I'm sure in the process of writing it, you've I'm sure, and you can speak on it, how your relationship with that expression, with that devotion has really shifted as you had to create this
Yeah,
album.
yeah. I mean, it's like I say, it has been a process, and the first couple of tracks that I put out before before this EP were really the big shifting points. Um, and but as you say, devotion and commitment to continuing on that path, I definitely feel that shifting for me. I feel like I am more willing now than ever to be devoted because I know and feel that I am doing what I am supposed to be doing. And the thing is, you have to be able to be happy with just being a little bit cringy, I think.
Yeah.
And that first track like that I put out back in 2021 or something, that track had a life and a mind of its own. That was completely self-produced. It is cheese fest in my humble opinion. But I haven't taken it down and I won't take it down because it is part of my story and it has
Yes.
been part of my journey to get to where I am right now. And that's going to be, I think, super awesome for people like coming in and wondering about me in going forward, like seeing where I've come from and seeing how I've progressed. And for other
Yeah.
people wanting to maybe follow a similar path, seeing that it's okay and embrace where you're at and go with what you're feeling right now because it's a necessary step. It's a necessary step to the next thing, to the next thing. You have to go through it. You can't bypass that and become this polished, perfect artist. You have to go through the mud, right?
Absolutely. That's interesting because I feel like that's in everything. I think as somebody who's I came from bodybuilding before this, wild, right? I know. Um, and have been a women's coach and a nutritionist for 7, 8 years, right? Like up until this point where I gave up everything and I was like, okay, higher self, creator, lead me where you're leading me. Like I feel like something shifted here. Take the wheel. But even in that respect, I feel like my soul chose that path because it taught me a very important lesson. And it is that we should always be evolving. You should always be learning. And we should always be able to look back, whether it's on a music that you've created or a reel that I've said where I thought I was so right about something and be like, I was so wrong. That was really bad. Right? Because if we're not able to look back and do that, then we're not able to grow. Right? And I think that the people that realize that and can say what you're saying and say, I'm not taking that down, realize it's a necessary part of our evolution, that
It
we're
is.
going to constantly be evolving. And there's so much beauty in that.
Yeah. But it's the hardest part is getting comfortable with being judged, I think, isn't it? And
Yes.
there's no way to avoid that because judge is going to judge no matter what you do. Um, and I think that yeah, that is the hardest part for me, and will become even more so as I carry on and I start working towards my album because that even more so is going to be so deeply me and so deeply from my experience that I will be laying myself bare in a way that I have never done before, and I need to get brave to do that. And
Yeah.
yeah, meeting you has definitely is definitely going to help me. I think I'm seeing that there are people out there who will want to hear what I have to say, and
There are
hopefully,
many people.
hopefully, I can be a mirror. You know,
With this final release of creating this album and putting it out there into the world, who is the new woman that actually got to emerge through this EP? What is this new identity? Who is this new brave woman?
I suppose she is the adult version of the little girl that danced along the shoreline, belting out tunes from Seven Brides for Seven Brothers at the top of her lungs and dancing with the waves. I feel like I am doing her justice finally.
That is so beautiful. You got to
because
return to your true essence.
yes, yes, and I really like. I already know like the album. I keep on talking about the album, but that very much is going to be my returning to my essence and honoring all that I am, all the darkness, all the light, the duality of it all,
Yeah.
and being accepting of it, and not judging myself and being hard on myself.
We have a lot in common. Just like what you told me about how you grew up. You grew up Catholic, and you all went to an evangelical church afterwards. I don't know that it was evangelical, but they were originally evangelical and they called themselves non-denominational, and I don't know that that should be accurate. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
And so we have very similar backgrounds. And now I'm like, I'm a follower of Christ. You know, I follow his true teachings, which are love God and your neighbor, you know, like that's, and in order to do that, you have to be the bridge, right? And that's exactly what you're saying is I want to be the darkness and I want to be the light and I want to be the bridge that connects them in this beautiful harmony.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
That's, yeah, that's exactly it. And but the thing is like I've never. It's so hard, isn't it? Because I've always struggled with kind of like putting myself in front of people as myself. Like I could stand up in front of a theater full of hundreds and hundreds of people and sing and be any character you wanted me to be and not bat an eyelid. But this is very very much like stripping down and being seen
Yeah.
as you are, and in all with all your flaws and all your faults, and knowing, having that faith that you are enough as you are, and that you can
Yes.
still, if you believe this, if you can still serve what divine purpose is meant for you. And as you said, you have a clear idea of what that is for you. I haven't had any visions. Don't have any clairvoyance or any of that, but I'm a generator, and I have a deep-seated gut reaction to
Yes.
what what is right and what is not right for me. So I follow that. I follow that, and it doesn't seem me wrong.
That is all you can do. And that's what I really preach is I say, like, at the end of the day, the label to anything really doesn't matter to me. You want to call it goddess, you want to call it God, you want to call it Christ, you want to call it whatever you want to call it, universe, source, creator. It doesn't matter. But for me, growing up in where I grew up, I still call it Christ. And so that's what it's always been about, Christ through the body, is like finding the Christ that lives within you. And how does it feel, right? So for a generator, it's that excitement. You know, it's crazy beautiful that we come like that because my 4-year-old is a manifesting generator. And she has this, she's always telling me, Mommy, God lives in my belly. Like she just has this inherent knowing, like God lives in my belly, Mommy. And I was like, okay, yes, let's trust this. When God tells you something in your belly, you tell Mommy, and we're gonna go for it. And wouldn't it be beautiful if we lived in a world where everyone did that and everyone was also teaching their children to do that? I'm just saying, I think we'd be pretty happy.
That's the thing, yeah. Words are like, they can be these like beautiful things that tie us together and express all this beauty, or they can be these terrible, terrible dividers. You know, there's so much power in words, but again, they only have as
Yes.
much power as you give them. So there's all these different notions.
Yes. I feel like it's also the frequency, right? Like I've done a couple of videos. I just did the one reel that was around English being so disconnected because if you pick up the Webster dictionary, there's like the soul has been stripped, right? Just like the Bible, if we're being honest. With every translation, the soul was stripped. And if you pick up the dictionary, the soul is pretty stripped. And the language that we use every day is very stripped. So when people are like, oh no, but there's this word, I'm like, okay, when was the last time you heard somebody out on the street use that word? Use this beautiful, soulful word that 99.9% of people don't even know existed. But at the end of the day, it's the frequency. It's that intention behind it. It's the quiet behind the words, right? Because if I wake up and I am pissed at my husband because he did something last night that I didn't like, and I'm like, good morning, I love you, and I go off and go about my day, it's going to feel very different in his body receiving that versus if I wake up and I just look over and I'm like, oh, look how handsome he is. Honey, I love you. And I like touch his cheek or whatever, right? Like I don't even have to touch him. The way, the intention, the frequency in which I use the words is really what is how it's received. It's not the words itself, in my opinion.
No, it's the intention. It's absolutely the intention behind the words. And I think that's and again, we go back to words like with Christianity and with so many religions, it's prayer, isn't it? It's and but then like with paganism and witchcraft and stuff, a lot of the time it's like it's spells, but it's all just words.
It's all just thing.
Words. It's just the intentions behind the words. Yeah. That's the difference. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, like a spell, a manifestation, a prayer, they're literally the same thing. Yeah. If I'm sitting here praying just because I use the word amen versus so it is, which literally, if you translate it, it means the exact same thing.
Yeah.
If you go back to the original. So just because I'm using these different words, you think all of a sudden you're better. And it goes both ways, right? It's not that like only Christians think they're better or only witches. It's the same thing. But we need to bridge the gap and realize that it's just the intention, right? It makes me think like and wonder when you look at Babylon being where we were punished and now all these languages came, were we punished or did we do that to ourselves? Was it disconnection from source that we then stopped speaking in energy and love and we came up with another way to disguise it because we didn't want to feel it? I don't know. And I'm not saying that words aren't beautiful because they can be. Your album was stunning. It is stunning. And if people listen to it, and I hope every single person that sees either a reel promoting this or a carousel or this listens to this podcast will listen to the entire thing. What invitation does your album offer for their rising, their becoming?
I guess that they would open their hearts to the beauty of the season and take the learnings and the lessons that nature is teaching us, because we are creatures of the earth just as all the other animals and plants and everything is seasonal and cyclical. And I would hope that this EP would invite people to feel the season and feel their body and feel where they are in the space of the season.
That is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for walking us back into these holy layers of the season. Not with rebellion or for rebellion's sake, if you will, but with devotion, with your remembrance of who you already were. You stepping back into who you already were. And to those listening, may this conversation be more than insight. May it be an invitation, a soft undoing of what was never meant to harden, a gentle return to the Christed innocence beneath the noise, a remembering that the season was always about light being born in the dark, not just in the sky, but in your body, in your womb, in your soul. May you listen not only with your ears, but with your body as you listen to this gorgeous album. And as always, thank you, I love you, and I'll see you in the next spiral.